Hey guys, in today's video I am testing out a robotic lawnmower. Pretty interesting stuff. So this lawnmower is from a company called Anthbot. They actually sent out this lawnmower to me. In fact, you'll probably end up seeing it in the background somewhere over here as I make this video because it is cutting the grass right now. But I just wanted to go over the process of setting it up, how it works, the different features that it has, because it's a little bit different from some other lawnmowers, and then just give you my opinions on it. So in terms of setting up this lawnmower, the first step was going to be laying the boundary wire and figuring out exactly where I was going to have this lawnmower cut the grass. The boundary wire will just show the area that it's actually going to be cutting the grass in, and it's not that difficult to set up, but it is the most tedious process out of this entire setup. It just takes some time. There's directions on the sheet that it gives you about how far away it needs to be from the border, and how far the distance between the pegs needs to go. But basically all you need to do is lay out the boundary wire and then have it, nice and taut, and then put the pegs in place to help hold it against the ground. You don't have to dig any trenches or anything, which is really nice. It just kind of lays at the base of the grass. The next step is setting up the docking station. It's really not too big of a deal. The only thing that I needed in order to set up the docking station was a pair of wire strippers. You probably could make do with a pair of scissors or a knife or something, but wire strippers are going to be the easiest thing to do. So I just picked up a pair, and it wasn't too big of a deal setting up the docking station. However, the day before, I actually did plug in the lawnmower just so that way I knew the battery was going to be fully charged when testing it the next day, and it does seem to charge pretty quick. But the docking station I have in the grass over by our hot tub over here, it's just a nice place where it's out of the way. The most important thing that it did mention is that the boundary wire, you need to have, I think it said 1.5 meters, which is like 4.5-ish feet, in front of it and behind it, that the wire has to be straight, just so that way the lawnmower can work correctly. If you have it right next to a spot where it's going to curve, it may not necessarily go back and work with the docking station in the way that it needs to. Once I had all of the physical things set up, then it was just actually installing an app on my phone, which was really easy, and it's actually a pretty intuitive app. It seems to work pretty well, in my opinion. It's not all that clunky. I was a little worried about that, but it seems to be pretty straightforward, which I definitely appreciate, being kind of a tech nerd. Okay, now that we've talked a little bit about setup, why don't we go through the different features that you'll find in this lawnmower that you may not find in some other ones. So this has something called CTOF technology, which is the only perimeter mowing robot that realizes high efficiency line-by-line scanning planing. Now, I can get more into this when I talk about the app, but one thing that's really cool is that you can see exactly what parts of the lawn it has mowed through the app and not necessarily just looking outside, especially if you don't happen to be home. So it does a really good job of understanding where it's already been and where it still needs to go. It also can be 3 times more efficient than a regular lawnmower, because what's cool about this, being a robotic one, is it actually will cut the grass going line by line, as in it'll actually cut lines on the grass and not just kind of all willy-nilly. Especially if you like kind of more that striped look, you can do it where it's stripes or even do a cross pattern, which that is something I definitely am excited about. Now, I mentioned that there's a boundary wire that the lawnmower will follow. One thing that is cool about this lawnmower is it does have wire breakage detection, so it actually will be able to know if the wire happens to break, and it does have a bit of a repair kit that comes with it, so then you can easily fix that, and then you know what the issue is right off the bat. Now, I mentioned the app before. One thing I really like about the app is it has a real-time map that actually shows you exactly where the lawnmower is, and like I mentioned before too, it'll show you how much of the lawn it actually has cut already. It has it as like a different color for the space that it has to fill. So you can always see exactly where the lawnmower is, what it's doing, and then how much of the lawn it's already cut. And it also gives you a percentage, which I really like. And then from the app, you can also see what the battery percentage of the lawnmower is too. So if you see that it's cut, a certain percentage of the lawn, but then it's at 35%, it might end up going back and then just charging for a little bit before it continues on. And the last thing is that it has real breakpoint continuation, which is basically just a fancy description to say that it isn't going to actually miss a spot. It can tell exactly what spots it's cut in the lawn, and it'll go back and get those spots, which I have seen it do, where it had like a little strip and then it went back and it got that strip later on. I don't know exactly how it maps everything out, but it will go back and it'll cut all the grass that you have in your plane. Now, I wanted to mention, as I'm making this video, I still have very limited experience with this lawnmower, so I'm still learning and programming how it's going to work for this backyard. But there's a couple things that I like and a couple things that I don't like. One thing I really like is that the garden that I've created back here is a very odd shape. I'm sure you've seen that from what the app looks like. It's a very weird shape that the lawnmower is cutting, But that's the cool thing about it, is because it can map out the whole thing and I laid the boundary wire, it actually can cut a really odd shape like this. It doesn't have to be a perfect square. Now I will mention, you can see towards like the back over in this section, I actually don't have it going up on that hill. I just didn't want to give it too large of a space to cut, but it can cut up to about 1/4 of an acre. So I'm just having it cut the main area over here, and then I'll just hit that area in the back with my own lawnmower, because it's not going to like trim the edges or anything like that either. So I already have to come through the trimmer and still do that on a weekly basis. But if it can at least get the majority of the grass, that's a lot less work on a weekly basis that I have to worry about. This also doesn't have any type of bagging system or anything like that. What it does is it has 3 little blades on the bottom, and my thought with this is that it's going to cut the grass often enough that it won't really leave too much of a mess, especially after the first couple times, where it'll just become thatch that goes into the grass. I have had one situation happen a couple of times, and this is probably my own error, where a wheel has gotten stuck on the boundary wire and then it just got stuck in place, so I had to come out and fix it. But again, that's just a matter of making sure that you actually lay the boundary wire as low to the ground as you can, and then getting those pegs deep into the ground so that way something like that doesn't happen. And just making sure too that you have it far enough away from an edge where the wheels won't drop either. I think that happened in one spot. The only main gripe that I've had with this lawnmower so far, and I don't know if it's a user error or if it's the lawnmower itself, I've just had a weird issue where it seems to do the perimeter a lot, where it's like mapping itself out, and then it like has to map the whole thing, and then it cuts the grass, and then it goes back to mapping at some point. It seems like it's not as efficient as it could be, so I'm still trying to work out those kinks. But at the very least, when it does cut the grass, it is pretty efficient, and especially when it goes through a big area like this section over here, then it will go back and forth, and then it can cut a lot in a pretty short amount of time. So those are just my first impressions on this lawnmower so far. I've still got a lot to learn with this, and I'll have a better understanding and a better opinion of it probably by the end of this season. So I'll share some updates with you guys as I figure out things that work well with this, things that don't work so well, but we'll see how this does. For now, I'm happy with it. I'm excited to see how this thing is going to continue performing. And I just wanted to mention, if you guys were looking to pick one of these up for yourself, I actually have an Amazon link in the description down below. It's actually on sale for $400 off, so that's a pretty good deal, if I might say so. And again, I wouldn't sponsor or tell you guys to try anything that I wouldn't try myself, so I'm trying this out. I've had a pretty good experience with it so far, and I think that you'll probably have the same. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, feel free to put them in the comment section down below. I'll try to answer everything as best as I can. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, a little different from other things that I've done before, but I thought it was just something fun to try. So with that being said, I will see you guys in the next video.